Two serial arsonists are investigated by an odd team led by Detective Michelle Calderon, Journey Smollett, and Dave Taron Egerton. There is a synergy between the individuals that keeps us interested even if their objectives and attitudes about their employment are very different. Egerton portrays a man that many of us have seen before. Although it is not specific to this TV genre, Dave Taron's melancholy is unnerving and annoying. He becomes increasingly intolerable as each episode goes on. As Smollett's Michelle investigates the case of two serial arsonists while juggling her own history of an arson attack, we become agitated and worried for her. In this part, Smollett is a fiery, pun intended, character. Although passionate and resolute, Calderon is not perfect, and her tense relationship with an unforgiving jerk makes for an intriguing contrast between two individuals who have quite different perspectives on the world and themselves. The glue that holds the entire cast together is Egerton and Smollett, who work well together. Although Smoke's discourse is quite specific and occasionally even embarrassing, it highlights the kind of bubble that politicians and the cops operate in. Everyone in a position of authority on the show uses an extremely poisonous, male-centric language, regardless of gender or position. Consider casual sexism, sexual innuendos, and frequent references to particular membranes. Although it presents a vibrant picture, it might be difficult to watch at times. The character's job is well realized from it. The character arcs are driven by emotion, and the relationships are brimming with hidden past. Smoke is more about crafting a story that is as gripping as truth than it is about expressing the interest with or that served as the inspiration for both non-fiction and fiction works. This narrative within a story allows the actors to be free from the constraints of the reality they are partially reenacting. The shift from the 1980s, when Orr's atrocities were at their worst, to the present day further supports this. The actors put a lot of effort into playing their parts and establishing a feeling of familiarity, and their interactions are entertaining due to the established language and sense of community. When it comes to revealing the arsonists, the tale doesn't mince words, they get right to the point while making us tremble with anger as the inquiry progresses. As Smoke delves into the inner drama and intimate ideas that each individual conveys, we're hoping for a happy conclusion. Taron Egerton's portrayal of reclusive Freddie Fasano is especially important to a heartbreaking yet empathetic plot that aims to mimic Orr's. Despite the fact that episode 1 had not yet shown Dave was the arsonist with the limp, it did highlight his method of starting his fires. This included frequently attacking supermarkets, which had a tendency to use cigarette-like incendiary devices to burn the potato chip aisles. He apparently has little trouble igniting fires in many kinds of establishments, so they weren't the only places he would target. He sets fire to a bin of foam pool noodles while targeting a craft business in the premiere. The scene centers on a woman who becomes trapped during the fire and makes a valiant attempt to flee the flaming structure. She manages to escape alive, but not before suffering severe burn injuries. She is horrified by a horrific scene in which the flesh on her arm slowly peels off and falls to the ground. This moment in particular highlights the lack of concern arsonists like Dave have for human life when committing their crimes. Even if the criminal drama TV show focuses on arson incidents, it was initially simple to support Dave because it appeared that he was sincerely attempting to apprehend the arsonists who were causing the fires around the West Coast. He went so far as to assist Michelle in her inquiry on firefighters whose absences coincide with specific fire dates. But things take a different turn when it is revealed that he is one of the serial arsonists. In Smoke, he has been deceiving other characters into believing that he is working to solve the case, but in fact, he is leading an investigation that he wants to divert from himself. The human cost of Dave's actions is made much more alarming after it was discovered that he was the true cause of the fires. He is directly responsible for the sequence in episode 1 where the woman's flesh peels off. The victims of Freddy's house fire subsequently demonstrate in episode 2 that every arson attack has a palpable tragedy, indicating that Dave is aware that his attacks are causing harm to others. Even though I initially supported him, his acts are made even more heinous when I learn that he is trying to hide the suffering he has caused. Since Dave is intentionally hurting people with his arson attacks, his acts are unacceptable in light of the woman's suffering after the craft store fire in episode 1. He has several methods to avoid taking responsibility for the extent of the suffering he has caused, which makes his commitment to the inquiry a cover for his own acts all the more horrifying. It is unclear how much more suffering he will wreak as the series progresses, given how much his fires have already harmed people.